يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Who is more entitled to lead the prayer? This is a dilemma we usually face when we are in a place and the time for prayer is due, and you look around and all what you see is different faces, different sizes of beards, different shapes of human beings. So we usually look at the person whom we think that is the most righteous among us and put him forward. But this is not the criteria to be judged by. The Prophet ﷺ taught us how to choose. And he says, the person who knows the Quran best should lead the people. And if they're all equal, meaning that they all memorize the same amount of the Quran, then the most knowledgeable among them in the Sunnah. And if they're all equal, then the first one to have migrated. And if they've migrated at the same time, then the first one of them to embrace Islam. And when the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, the one among them who has most knowledge of the book of Allah, he's referring, as some scholars say, to the knowledge in prayer. How did you reach this conclusion? They said, when the Prophet said this, alayhi salatu wasalam, he was addressing the companions, and all the companions were knowledgeable of the rituals of salat and the fiqh of salat and how to perform it. As for the Quran, they said it cannot mean to have knowledge in the memorization of the Quran when a person is ignorant in how to offer prayer and what to do in case of mistakes. And this is one point or one view of scholars, because yes, it's true, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the companions used to combine between knowledge and action. So they used to not only memorize the Quran, rather also implement it in their daily lives. Unfortunately, today, there are so many people who have beautiful recitation of the Quran, and they're perfect when it comes to reciting the Quran, but when it comes to the knowledge of the salat, they're totally oblivious, in the sense that if they make a mistake, they don't know whether to repeat the salat, to rectify the mistake, or to just simply offer 2 prostrations of sahu. They don't differentiate between pillars, mandatory acts, and voluntary acts and the likes. So this is one point of view of the scholars. Others said, no, the hadith is crystal clear. What counts in leading the prayer is how much and how good you are in perfecting your recitation of the Quran. And it seems that the first opinion is stronger than the latter one, and that if we have 2 people, one who recites the Quran quite well, but ignorant in the rulings of salat, and someone who recites the Quran lesser than the first one, but knows the rulings of the prayer and what to do and what not to do, the latter is the one who is supposed to lead the prayer, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. What if they have the same amount of knowledge and they are, in a sense, knowledgeable in the Sunnah of, they're knowledgeable in the recitation of the Quran, they're knowledgeable in the Sunnah, so they know how to pray, etc. Then we go to the other types of knowledge. And this is what's known more knowledgeable in the Sunnah than the other. So we have to look into the knowledge of the other, the two, and who's more knowledgeable, then we put him forward. If their knowledge in the Quran and in the Sunnah and in the Fiqh is equal, then we have to look at who among them was the first to take the initiative to migrate, who took the step forward and came to migrate and leave the lands of kufr. And he's the one who is to lead. If not, if they're all equal, they came in the same time, then which one of them accepted Islam before the other, and so forth. Now, having said that, we have to also acknowledge sometimes it's not in a public place that we're disputing who is to lead. Sometimes we are in someone's home. In this case, the owner of the house, by default, whether he knows Quran or doesn't, is the one who is obliged and who is more worthy of leading the prayer. And sometimes we are in places of authority. What does that mean? I'm in an office, so the manager of the office is more worthy of leading than me, even if I'm a sheikh. I am in a country, in the house of a ruler, or under the authority of a supervisor or the likes. He's the one who's supposed to lead. Why? I know more Quran. I have more knowledge. Well, the Prophet ﷺ stated this by saying, no man should lead another man in prayer in the place where he has authority, or sit in his place of honor in his house, except with his permission. And this is what is usually done. When we visit people's homes and they insist that it's time for prayer, we say to them, okay, you own the house, akhi, it's your right, and they refuse. They said, no, Shaykh, you must pray. I said, akhi, this is what the Prophet said. And the people, mashallah, they know the fiqh, and they said, well, yes, this is true, but the Prophet said, unless they give you permission and we give you permission. So there are people that may lead the prayer and the prayer is valid, and there are people who may lead the prayer and the prayer is invalid. Among those who you may be confused with are a boy who has reached the age of discernment. So they can differentiate. They can tell what's right and what's wrong, discriminate between this and that, but they have not reached the age of puberty. Can they lead someone who is like 7, 8 years of age? If that boy has the ability to know what he's doing, then he can lead grown-up men. Amr ibn Salama, may Allah be pleased with him, he used to lead his tribe when he was 6 or 7 years of age, as reported by Imam Al-Bukhari. And one would question, how would that be possible? He knew the Quran better than anyone else, and this is why the Prophet told them, alayhi salatu wasalam, he should lead you. Also, sometimes we're confused. When someone who's praying voluntary prayer could lead someone who's not prayed his fard, or the opposite. So people think that, oh, the imam and the follower, they should have the same intention. They should be praying the same prayer. And this is not true. Mu'adh ibn Jabal, may Allah be pleased with him, used to lead his tribe in Isha. After praying behind the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid, after he concluded his Isha prayer with the Prophet ﷺ, he used to go to his tribe and lead them in voluntary prayer for him, but it's fard prayer for them. And this is totally permissible without any problem, which leads us to a scenario. I go to a masjid, I'm late, the prayer is over, and I find someone praying behind a pillar, and I don't know if he's praying fard or voluntary prayer. No problem. I go and tap him on the right shoulder, stand next to him to his right, and say, Allahu Akbar. He now notices that I'm praying next to him, so he becomes my imam. Even if he was praying only the Sunnah, he becomes my imam, continues his Sunnah, and I follow him, and this is totally permissible and valid. Also, if the person leading the prayer is praying the fard prayer, and this was reported in a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, a man of the companions, prayed with the Prophet ﷺ, is Jabir ibn Yazid, when he was young. When the prayer was concluded, two men, the Prophet noticed that they did not pray with the congregation. So he asked the companions to summon them. They came shivering, afraid. And the Prophet said, why didn't you pray with us? So they justified this by saying, O Prophet of Allah, we had already prayed in our camps. So we prayed as soon as the adhan was given and came. And when we came, we found you guys praying, so we sat down. So the Prophet said to them, do not do that again. If anyone were to pray in his camp and then comes and finds the imam is praying and he did not conclude his prayer, you must join the imam, for it is for you voluntary. And why would we do such a thing if I have already prayed? The scholar said that this is done so that others would not think negatively of you. What is the normal thought that would come to your head when you see someone sitting or outside the masjid in his car while everybody else is praying in the masjid? Oh, this is a hypocrite, or he's a disbeliever, or he's a wrongdoer. People are praying and look at the audacity of this person. We don't have the luxury to go and question them and clarify their stance. They're not carrying a flag or a sign saying, I have already prayed in my camp. Therefore, the Prophet is telling us something that would clarify our duty and our reputation as well. So what's the ruling on a wrongdoer leading the prayer, an evildoer, a fasiq? The most authentic opinion is, as long as that individual is Muslim, whether he's an evildoer, whether he's an open sinner, whether he is an innovator, as long as he's Muslim, then the prayer behind him is valid. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu, they will lead you in prayer. So if they get it right, you will be rewarded, and if they get it wrong, then you will be rewarded, but it will count against them. So the sin is on them. And this was the understanding and the doing of the companions. For example, Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, prayed behind Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, and he was one of the most evil individuals found in history. For you may say, may not, but he was an evil person who killed a lot of the tabi'een, and he fought against Abdullah ibn Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, and the likes. So the prayer is valid, but this is not the most ideal situation to follow. If you can pray behind someone who's better, who's more righteous, yes, you have to leave prayer and you have to choose someone else to pray behind. And it is totally prohibited to pray behind women. And one would say, hey, who in his right mind would pray behind women? Unfortunately, this is prevailing in some places in the West nowadays. This is totally prohibited, and the prayer is invalid, and it's an innovation, because the Prophet made the position of men and women in congregation to be the men in front and the women at the back. So if you ask a woman to lead men in prayer, you would go against the instruction of the Prophet ﷺ, and of course you would do something totally haram. However, if a woman wants to lead other women, there's no problem in that. And this was done at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet approved of it. And a woman should stand in the same row of other women, not in front of them. And this is how Mother Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, used to lead the other women, and also Salama, they used to lead other women and by standing with them in the same line. And if a woman wanted to lead men, the prayer is not valid, and this is totally haram and sinful. Now, a lot of us may come late to Salat, and this is something that is not recommended. The Prophet ﷺ had encouraged men to pray, to join the first rows to the best of their ability. When he said, come forward and follow me in prayer, and let those who come after you follow you. People will persist in falling back until Allah puts them back. So this is the Sunnah, that you strive and try your level best to be at the front by coming early, and not by crossing people and fighting others for the first row. Rather, come early, assume your first position in the row, at the beginning, or the line behind it, but at least you tried your level best, and this would make you in the front at the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. هذا والله أعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.